Welcome, everybody. Can we kick it off, mate?
Over to you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We've got Sean Hall from Energx that's going to give you an amazing session around You've Got This. You're going to learn some fantastic practical tips today. I'm your host, Cookie. I work for FUNLOCKA. We'll talk about that very shortly. But first, I'm going to hand it over to Zrinka, who's just going to do a bit of an introduction.
Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Thanks for that round of applause. So good afternoon, bon appetit if you're joining us over your lunch break. Just wanted to thank you all for joining this session today. We've really wanted to put this over the last couple of months because we know from our community people are a little bit overwhelmed at work. So we hope out of this next hour you come away, feel creative, feel like you have more energy, a little bit less overwhelmed, some initiatives to help you get through the next phase of this crazy season we're going through. So just a hello and a welcome from me, and I'm going to pass it on to Luke and Sean for the rest of the session. And ask any questions you have in the chat.
Great to see your face, Drinker. It is so good. But as you say goodbye, if you ever want to pop your head in just to say hello, just do so.
I will.
We're all friendly, okay? All right. See you, Drinker. Thank you. Hey, everyone. My name's Cookie. I'm the founder and CEO of FUNLOCKA. We do incredible experiences, and we've ventured into the virtual space. So our whole premise is around inspiring conversations and workshops. You can see some of the talent that we offer there, and we cover off all aspects of people and culture that we can support you with. One of those amazing, talented people is Sean Hall. Sean Hall works at Energx, and today's session, he's going to drive that. So I'm going to hand it over to Sean now. And Shawnee, over to you, mate, to get people to say that they've got this.
Thanks, Cookie. Thanks so much. So great to be here. Thanks for the intro, Zrinka, and thank you, Cookie. So a little bit of a hello. So I want to say Kia ora and I want to say Bula, first of all. That's because you might pick up through the course of this that I'm a Kiwi, but something that's probably a little bit less obvious is the fact that I was actually raised by my Fijian grandmother. And so I've been thinking a lot over the last couple of weeks around what she would have wanted me to be doing right now. And one of the things I'd love to do is just to pay my respects to the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, which is where I'm coming from, to you today, and say Budjeri Kamaru, which means hello in Gadigal. So let's get into this. What you're going to see here today is a whole bunch of stuff that we know really works, and it's all based on the data that we've collected from working with all of these amazing organizations. Some of you have done the pre-work that we sent out before this, and that's one of the ways in which we use a data-led approach to really design all of these experiences. Now, this is a one-to-many experience, so if anything comes up for you that you feel that you would like a little bit more support, remember that there are these amazing organizations out there, and definitely in times like these, we want to make it really, really clear that there's never shame in asking for a little bit of extra help when we need it. Now, today we're here to learn three things specifically. The first is how to reduce your overwhelm and increase your energy. The second is how to create productivity rituals that light up your brain. The third is how to stay creative while you're working from anywhere, right? So wherever you choose to work. As Riga said, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. Feel free to capture any of ideas or questions that you have throughout the course of the session, and then we'll come back to you. Now, there's a couple of other ways to get involved because we want to make this a really active experience. So Cookie, do you want to take us through those?
Yeah, so we're going to be releasing a whole bunch of polls and things in the chat room. You'll be able to see the polls and answer the offers. Now, just with the offers, we're not trying to sell you anything today. They're just interactive ways to be involved. So please make sure that you click on to the little red icon whenever it happens answer the polls and questions as they.
Wicked. Thanks, Cookie. So let's get straight into a poll straight away, right? So here's the first one we want you to answer. So complete this sentence. Over the last couple of months, I have felt mostly, if you felt a 1, put a 1 if you felt mostly fearful, a 2 if you felt mostly stressed and anxious, 3 for frustrated, all the way up to feeling confident, peak performance and in flow. Complete that sentence for me now. How over the last couple of months, I have felt mostly. Which number suits you best?
Not sure what happened there, mate, but I've only just, the poll didn't release properly. Here it goes. So yeah, people are saying survival mode, my friend, is what the one that most people are trending with. Clear and confident, though, is up there with survival mode.
Starting to come up, great.
Yeah, it is. That's probably the highest that we've seen that. But there's still people in frustrated and stressed and anxious as well. So yeah, in survival mode, 45%.
45% in survival mode. Okay, so great to know that. Now I'm going to ask you a similar question, but just I want you to take a slightly different perspective now. So same thing, but this time I want you to think about your people, right? So the people that you're influencing, whether this will be your employees, basically. So from your experience, what have you felt that your people have felt mostly over the last couple of months? Have they been in the same place as you or somewhere different? Pop that into the poll now.
So we'll see the answers start coming through in a second, Sean. They're coming through now. Yeah, stressed and anxious is right up there at the moment, 40-odd% at present in survival mode. So between those two, stressed and anxious and survival mode as well, are the two trending ones there.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, right? So this is really what this is all about. As I said, we take a data-led approach to making sure we deliver the right type of interactions with our people. What we want to say to you today is our goal here today is to get you up to number 5 at least on the 3 things that we talked about today, right? So getting you up into feeling clear and confident around those 3 skills that we're going to focus on. Now, what's been happening too, I think this image really sums up a lot of the experience that many of us have had over the last few months. It's like we've been running up this big set of stairs and no real idea where the top of those stairs are. And what's been really asked of us is we've been all asked to step up in different ways, to accept a new way of living in many ways. And that was on the way out. And now we're being asked to step up again to a new way on the way in. Right? And so let's keep that in mind and going, what is the skills that we need to actually make sure that we can transition with confidence into whatever this new normal is. Now, I want to just acknowledge too that one of the things that we will all be feeling is we'll all be feeling a bit more distracted than normal, right? Especially when we're spending so much time online. So I want to give you a little hack to use today, but anytime you feel distracted. So let's get present, right? A simple hack to get present is just to notice something new. Right, so notice something new right now, whether it's in this beautiful image on the screen and zero in on a detail, whether it's my t-shirt, the room. Notice something new and you're instantly present. You're all instantly back in the room. So anytime you find yourself distracted or wandering, use that little tactic. Now, there's something I want you to get present to right now for me. And we're going to use the chat for this. So get your fingertips ready. Right, so what I want you to get present to is I want you to write into the chat box right now, what's the thing that you are most grateful for today? Pop that into the chat box, the thing that you're most grateful for today. It could be big, it might be just a small thing, but share that with us. We want to see a big wave of gratitude come through on that chat room.
Just waiting for it to come through. My health, says Margot. My work, says Nicole. My 2 boys, says Oliver. That I have a job. The sunshine, says Krista. My dog, says Jane. Secure employment, sunshine. New sneakers, says Emma. Awesome work, Em. Working from home, coffee, the sunny weather, mate. There's the gratitude wave that we wanted to see.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing this, right? Because this is what it's all about, right? How do we have energy for the things, the people that we care about the most, right? And also be really aware of the things that give us energy. That's a key thing to everything that we're going to take you through today. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's one of our favorite parts of doing this. Now, our promise to you today is that we're not going to do any fluff, right? Today is about the how. We're going to give you practical steps that can start immediately, and they're designed to be paid forward because you'll have people that you care about that need to hear some of this as well. The next is that everything that we're doing here today is backed up by research across all of these multiple fields. We don't have time to go into all of those, but if you've got any questions around that, then please feel free to email us. And then finally, that this is the start, right? We've got a long way to go. we've survived so far. Let's see what we're going to do next with this. And then our final promise to you is that we recognize the last thing anyone needs right now is another boring webinar or Zoom call. So that's our commitment to you too, that we're going to keep you really engaged and involved in this whole next hour. Okay, so recognizing where we're all at, right? So we know that in uncertain times, it's normal to feel anxious, right? And we've probably seen that in a lot of our people or the people that we care about. Now, what I want to say is that that feeling is actually a way of our body signaling that we need to do something, right? It's actually a human response. Now, the thing that's affected most by uncertainty from a neurochemical perspective is one of our happy hormones. So I want you to use the chat again now. I'm going to see who the geeks are on the call. Right, so what is the neurochemical structure that you see on the screen right now? Right, little clue is it's one of the 4 happy hormones. What geeks do we have on this call today? Let's see how we go. So just typing into the chat, which of the 4 happy hormones are you seeing on the screen right now?
Nicole says stress. That's not a happy hormone. Serotonin. Serotonin, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, dopamine, endorphins. Oh, got a few.
There's lots of geeks on the call, which is awesome to see. Okay, so if you said dopamine, you got it right. Right, so what's happening right now is that uncertainty feels bad because it kills our dopamine. Right, dopamine depends on prediction. The great thing is that we can get our dopamine moving again. Now, if you've got a notebook, I'd even get you to write this down, right? The way that we get our dopamine going again is by 1, focusing on what we can control, and 2, start acting, right? The acting part is the most important part, right? Unless we do something differently, nothing changes, right? So the way we get our dopamine flowing again, focus on what we can control and start acting. Now, what we know is there's only 3 things you can really control. And that's what we're focusing on today, the stuff we can control. The first is taking responsibility for your own energy, right? The decisions that you make for yourself that fill up your cup. The second is taking responsibility for your energy impact on other people, right? How are you turning up an experience? How do people feel once you've left the room, even if it's a virtual room? And the third one is taking responsibility for how good you are at what you do, right? So today's session is going to cover all 3 of those things. If you find yourself worrying about things that don't fit in these 3 buckets, our advice is don't waste your energy on it, right? Only put your energy into the things that you can control. Now, before this, we gave you some pre-work with a couple of assessments. The first was a free energy assessment that also takes you to a whole bunch of extra free content that you can view after the session. So if you didn't do the assessment before this, that's fine. You can still go and do it afterwards. Now, one of the questions that we ask in the assessment is we say, how many of the last 10 days did you feel that you had enough energy for what's important to you, right? For what really matters. So you might have a number that's come up in your head right now as you think of that. Now, on average, what we know for women is that they only feel they have enough energy 47% of the time. So that's 4.7 days on average out of 10. They would love that to be 80%, right? Feeling they have enough energy 80% of the time, that's a pretty good goal. For guys, it's just a little bit higher, only 51% of the time. So imagine like your phone battery being only at 51%. That's how this feels, right? So what that data is telling us, just like you have done when you've done the pre-work, is that the majority of us right now have got diminished capacity, right? Our gas tanks are, for women, less than half full, right? And that's a big problem in terms of us being able to have the capacity to really navigate and excel at change, right? It's a major, major human barrier. Now, let's talk about how we start to build our capacity again. So, poll again here for you. I want you to write in the chat box again. What single activity has all of these energy boosting benefits, right? This single activity increases your immunity, reduces your stress, increases your focus, increases your creativity, is anti-aging, that's a good one, helps with weight loss, reduces your risk of cancer, increases your fertility, reduces the likelihood of errors. What single activity has all of those benefits? Write that in the chat box right now.
Laughing, sleep, exercise, sleep. Sleep, says Cassie. Exercise, Vanessa says sleep. Mindfulness, eating healthy, says Jessie. Playing guitar. There's one that I haven't seen before. Walking. Yeah, a few people have got it though, Sean.
Fantastic. Well, if you said sleep, then you are correct, right? This is the starting point for our energy, for our capacity, for our well-being, for our happiness. Everything starts here. So if we want to have more energy and less overwhelm, we need to focus on sleep. So let's talk about how we could sleep better tonight, right? Going to take you through the process now. The number one thing we need to focus on is knowing your chronotype, right? So your chronotype is the scientific definition of whether you're a morning or a night person or someone in between. And we know from all the sleep science that going to bed at the same time every night is the number one thing that will help improve your overall sleep quality, right? So your chronotype will tell you what time to go to sleep. And there's a free little assessment there to do for that as well. The second thing that we know from the sleep science is that temperature has the next biggest impact. So you need a cool bedroom, right? A bit easier in the winter months. The next thing is to really think about your environment, right? We like to cheekily say that your bedroom's only for two things, okay? We can only help you with one here today. And so you're probably guessing what they are. Well, you know what they are. And so the way to think about this is that when we give our bedrooms a makeover, nothing should be in your bedroom that doesn't contribute to the quantity, quality, and frequency of those two things. Then it's about getting your phone out of your bedroom, right? This is shown to have a major impact, even in the hour before bed, right? Having less screen time is going to help with our sleep. And then we want to aim for the recommended 8 hours from the World Health Organization, right? So this is a simple way to actually look at the things that we need to know and understand to sleep better. Now, that was the first point that we wanted to make, right? To reduce your overwhelm and increase your energy, we have to focus on where to start. And where to start is understanding what's energizing you versus what's not, which is where the free assessment helps. And then starting with sleep, right? Number one place to start. It's impossible to really get to full capacity if we're not sleeping well. Okay, next poll for you. After this experience, how many days per week would you prefer to work from home, right? We've all got a choice right now to communicate the way in which we want to go back to work. So let's see where you're at. After this experience, how many days would you prefer? Pop that into the poll now.
Sean, about 60% of people are saying 2 days. It's come down to about 40 odd. Between 2 to 3 days is leading it at the moment. Wow.
So interesting, right? So interesting, because I think a lot of us have been, working out what we're doing, right, when it comes to working from home. And why that's been really important, I guess, in the transition for all of us is that what we've seen is that working from home is a skill, right? It's taken us a while to adjust. Some have been better at it than others, but just like any skill, getting good at working from home takes focus, right, to be a master of that. So let's look at some skills that we can use. And this is where I really want to talk about productivity. Right, the place that we love to start, and you would have felt that a little bit from how we came into the room, is to focus on rhythms, right? Because rhythms create momentum. Now, we all had our rhythms disrupted with COVID, and we had to create new ones. Or sometimes what we did is we ended up creating new habits, but we were doing them mindlessly, right? And that's a really important thing to check in with you. How many new habits have you formed over this time? How many new habits have your people formed? Because I guarantee you that a lot of those are not necessarily healthy habits and that they've been formed mindlessly. So as we transition back, we want to think about how do we bring people back with new healthy habits and rhythms that build momentum. Humans are designed to be in rhythm, right? Whether it's your heart rate or your breathing, we feel off if we're out of rhythm. So it's a really great way to start. So what's the first rhythm we might focus on? Well, the one we want to focus on is starting your day the way that you want it to continue, right? So we're going to give you some great ideas. Now, think of me like your coach, right? So if your coach was going to tell you how to improve your form, right, or how to achieve a personal best, you probably listen, right? So everything I'm about to tell you is informed by science, and we're designing this into a mindful morning rhythm that sets us up for success. The first is to start your day device-free, right? Because we want to start our day proactively. And as soon as you switch on that device or look into your device, you are in reactive mode, not proactive. You can't control what goes on there. So start your day 15 minutes device-free. What are you going to do with that 15 minutes? Well, you're going to get up and make your bed straight away. Sleep research even shows that those people that make their beds first thing in the morning are more likely to sleep better that night too. And guess what? You've already achieved something. You're already winning. The next thing is to hydrate. So grab your water bottle if you have got one right on your desk right now and take a big swig. Right? Water, this little miracle water is energy. Why? Because 70% of your body is water and up to 85% of your brain is water. And that's why even a small amount of dehydration impacts how we think and feel. The next thing is to write 3 things that you're grateful for, or that you will be grateful for if you want to put it forward. Right? The neuroscience and the positive psychology research demonstrates how impactful this is for our well-being. Then you might get some vitamin D, right? So we know that vitamin D is so important for our immunity, right? And practicing physical distancing if that's necessary at the same time. One way that you might get a little bit of movement to is to move to your theme song. So choose one. We'll give you our one after this if you want to use that as yours, right? So moving to your theme song to get yourself into a great mood. That's the most important thing, right? How are we starting our day in a great mood as well? Cold showers are shown to boost your immunity and to invigorate you. They're definitely going to wake you up, right? And this doesn't mean having a complete cold shower. It might only be 30 seconds just to be brave to start with, but it's a great thing to incorporate into your routine. And then dress like you're going to work or on a date if you want to be a little bit extra, right? So thinking about those psychological starts to your day. What are those little habits? So getting dressed to go to work is a really important one, and many entrepreneurs will talk about this. The next things we're going to teach you is how to plan your day after that with the energy diary tool, and also how to build your creative strengths, right? So this is your morning rhythm, right? If you want to take a screenshot of this, you'll also get a copy of this recording afterwards. Okay, so talking about rhythms, I need you all right now to get up on your feet, right? So wherever you are, stand up, push your chair away, make sure you got a little bit of room, right? And let's just see if we can get ourselves.
Good morning, everyone. I'm with the beautiful Jacinda.
I'm going to join you, Sean.
A low-impact woman. There's actually 4 people on stage, but one's pulling their weight. We're going to move our heads. Jacinda's been cooking a baby. Jason's been writing his debut album. I've been designing a workout wear collection. We are very busy in the Retro Sweat office. Just a bicep curl. Ooh. You've been working hard. Yes, draw that belly into the spine. Looking good there, Jacinda. He's probably wondering what the heck is going on at the moment.
I think a lot of people are wondering what the heck's going on, Sean.
Expand that chest, need to be a little wider. Ooh. How great does Jason look in a crop top? Boys in crop tops, we're bringing it back, showing off those abs. Oh, shoulder roll. We got those shoulder joints. Gorgeous. Let's wipe that sweat off. Building already. And 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to go temperature, headache, temperature, take it down. And temperature. Oh, working so hard, getting a migraine. One
This is half-time entertainment, everybody.
reach to the sky. We go. Push. Point that toe. Transferring that weight from right to left. Feeling fantastic. And push. And push. Beautiful. Oh, loving the backdrop today. I feel like a comic hero. Pushing. Let's lift the foot. Point that toe really hard. And the leg will magically lift off the floor and with that glute engage. Love it. Feet stay wide. Let's slow it down with a hip curl round. And round. Fast. And 4, 2, 3. Other way. And around. Big circles. Bend the knees. Get low. And 4. Triple. We go. 1, 2, 3. Keep it cute.
True, Claire. Agree.
Love you, baby. Let's walk one little big squat. We're going to go down and up. You've got to walk through eyeshadow today. Beautiful. Let's lunge it. Turn to the right. Big wide. Draw that core in. Back to squats. Deeper now.
We'll be back pretty soon.
And deep. These are the good times, absolutely. Let's step it together. Now we're going to do a bit of traveling. And great. Let's double this, jump and step together. And tap. So lift those feet. That's good. Keep those eyes up. Keep smiling. Little colours will smile. We're going to add a little triple point. We go reach and 1, 2, 3. Yes. Oh, missed that one. You just started. Plenty more where that came from.
Here we go.
Little cute jog forward. Well support. Let's go elbow and tap back. Take it on the diagonal. So you can sell this with the arms. If you want to keep it low impact. The baby can take care of. Oh. Again, bigger. Up higher.
We're almost back.
Back the bang. Hat forward. Working hard. Well done, everyone.
Well done.
We take them back now. We're in front of the television.
Shawnee, Francesca's asked, do we get a free crop top with this session?
Oh, that's a good idea. We might have to fix a new business idea for us.
All right, back to you, man.
So we're back in. All right, so you're going to find out exactly why we did that in a second, but hopefully you had a bit of fun. Actually, I hope you did that with us and not just watched us doing it. So let's talk about a different rhythm, right? So I want you to zero in right now on the graphic on the screen. Let's bring our attention to our breath. Breathe in, fill up your lungs for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. And hold. Do that again. Really fill up the lungs right down through to your diaphragm. Exhale. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in. And hold. Exhale. And hold. Now, in your notebook, or maybe you've got a post-it note nearby, what I want you to do right now is I want you to draw a square shape. Right, so 4 sides in a square shape. Got that done? Right, now what I'd like you to do, on each side of those squares, just draw the number 4. 4, 4, 4, 4. Right, so we've got a square, 4 sides, number 4 on each side. And then in the center of that square, I want you to draw the number 90. 90, right? 90. What we've just done there is we've done a technique called square breathing. It calms the parasympathetic nervous system instantly, even after doing that high energy lycra fantasy workout that we just did. We've already been able to bring us back down into a sense of calm, right? It's a fantastic trick, again, to bring yourself back into the room, be present, right? Or to deal with any feelings of overwhelm. It's one of the things that I think is most valuable to know is that if you've got a lot of stuff going on in your head, a great way to deal with that is to get into your body. All right, so 2 aspects of rhythm there for you today. Now, I've got another quick thing for you to ponder. When you were hired to do the job that you do, did they buy your biceps or your brain, right? Likely they bought your brain, right? Most of us are doing, we like to think perhaps that it's our biceps, right? But actually what we're hired for, and most of our jobs, if we're a knowledge worker or an interaction worker, we're hired for our brain. And so this next part, I really want to zero on the focus that productivity starts with your ability to be able to light up your brain, all right? Write that down. My productivity starts with my ability to light up my brain. So both of those techniques that we've just done with you light up your brain, right? Movement, exercise will light up your brain. Breathing, again, will light up your brain in a calm way, right? It'll shift your brain into a different neural network. So these are all things to remember. And so how do we be more productive? Well, if we think about productivity, starting with our brains and our ability to light up our brains, a great way to actually think about how we do this and how we energize ourselves, have more cognitive energy, is actually to start to think about how we manage our energy, not our time. Now, this was an idea that was first given to me when I was experiencing quite severe burnout, right? Where a mentor of mine said to me, Sean, have you thought about managing your energy and not your time? And that idea really exploded in my head, because I can ask you, after any experience that you have, whether it's something like this, whether it's going to your favorite workout, going for a walk, going shopping, spending time with friends, or just sitting quietly alone with your thoughts, and I can say, did that experience energize you or deplete you? And you'll just know. You might not necessarily know why, but you will just know. And it can't be nothing. It'll be a little bit energizing, a little bit depleting, or big, depending on the experience, but it can't be nothing. And this is where we're turning our intuition around how we're feeling into intelligence to make better decisions. So I'm about to take you through a diary tool for making decisions about what you say yes to and what you say no to, based on energy, okay? And I created this tool after spending a year talking to a whole bunch of CEOs and CMOs about how they manage their energy themselves, how they turn up, and how they make decisions. So here's the tool. It's very simple, but it's something that requires, like all tools, practice to get really good at. So this is what we're looking at here. So what you'll see is that we have two simple axes: unimportant to important, energizing to depleting. Based on where we plot things on this matrix, in each of those squares, you see the decision that we make. Now, this matrix on purpose does not have urgency built in, right? Because other frameworks that were built for urgency did not take into account the current digital age that we live in, did not take into account the fact that our amygdalas are being hijacked by technology. And therefore, everything seems urgent. So how do we make better decisions? Let me take you through it. So if something is unimportant and depleting, we want to lose it. We lose it this way, by either saying no. Saying no can feel hard sometimes because we might feel we're letting people down. But the way that we say no is to be honest and polite, right? Honest and polite. Don't make up any stories. Just be honest and polite about why you don't have space for that. The second is that you might ask why. This is really, really important in terms of meetings. One of our most favorite sessions right now is how to have less meetings, right? And the way in which we're doing here is we're asking why. Why am I the most important to be here? Why is this meeting happening in the first place? What contribution would you like me to make? Will I have any activities or actions coming off the back of that? If someone can't tell you those things, then you can politely decline until they can. And the third thing we can do is we can delegate. But very specifically, this is about delegating things to people that find them energizing, right? Just because you don't find it energizing doesn't mean everybody does, right? So delegating in that instance. And think of all of these three things as just little acts of courage, right? We do little things, we say no to little things to start with. And when we get good at saying no, we might say, be more courageous again and say no to bigger things, all right? So simple ways to lose it. The next one I want to move you to is to back pocket, right? So if something's energizing, so we enjoy it, but it's unimportant, this is where distractions live, right? So we need to be really mindful of not getting sucked into these distractions, whether they're activities or people, right? But this is also what I call the adult fun corner. There's joy in making bad decisions sometimes. So this is definitely where tequila lives, right? If that's your choice, right? But things where we know we're going to have fun at the time, but we're not going to do them all the time because it's not good for us necessarily. But it's adult decisions, right? Distractions. So getting binging on Netflix over and over again, right? Those types of things. Or it might be a person that you really get along with, but they don't actually help you progress, right? If they're a client, they don't buy anything, they don't make any decisions. So being aware of that, we can use these things that we put in our back pocket as rewards and to vanquish energy vampires, which I'm going to talk about in a second. The next box is the most important one. So if something is energizing and important, we want to increase this. So imagine opening your diary and 80% of what was in your diary was this, energizing and important. How would that feel? Right? And this is not just about work. This is about all the things that help you increase your overall energy, right? Everything that we're teaching you today fits in this box. Okay, so when you identify that something is in this box, in this part of the matrix, the first thing we want to do is go, why is that energizing important to me? Get really, really detailed, right? Is it energizing and important because it's what I'm working on? Is it because of the impact I'm making? Is it because I'm using my strengths and I feel really valued? Is it the people that I'm working with? Or also consider, also consider the context. So when you were on fire in that presentation or in that brainstorm, was it because you lit up your brain, you went for a walk, you had a good night's sleep, and that meant that your brain was literally on fire in that time frame, right? So really think about the context. Why? Because when we get very, very detailed on this, we're literally creating a recipe to ask for more. This box is the key to taking charge of your career, right? Once you know what's in here, you can ask for more of it. Now let's move to the hardest part of this diary tool. So if something's important, but it's depleting, we're going to change some stuff, right? That's why we're going to reframe. This box is what we call our energy vampires, right? And the reason we need to reframe, because if you identify that something is an energy vampire and you don't choose to change anything, you are accepting to keep that thing to continue sucking the life out of you, right? So you are responsible for that decision, whether you choose to change or not. If you choose to reframe, here's what we can do. If it's a task, right? So in energy vampires generally come in tasks and people and thoughts, right? So if it's a task, we can bookend it. So put something energizing before and energizing afterwards, right? Simple as that. The other thing we can do is we can change the language. So often when I say it's a task that's, say, administrative or boring, you say, I have to do that, right? But if you say, I get to, it makes you change your perspective on things. So I get to do my expenses and my timesheets because I'm helping out Karen from finance, who I really like. She's a great person. And guess what? She helps me get paid, right? So not making it about you is a big part to changing and reframing. If an energy vampire, actually, I'm just going to go back to back pocket for a second. There's a great thing here too we can use as a reward, right? So you might say, I'm going to complete that task and then I'm going to let myself watch that next episode of whatever it is that's got you going, you know, that you're addicted to at the moment on Netflix, right? So a great way to do that. Or if a lot of you are doing the same activity, you can make it social, right? And that changes the dynamic as well, right? So reframing when it comes to people. Now, let's talk about this for a second. So as I said, energy vampires. What we know is that no one wants to be an energy vampire. Imagine if someone told you that, you'd be horrified, right? And so what that means is that people are often not aware that they were turning up that way, because if they were, you know, they just wouldn't do it, right? They'd be horrified to know that they'd done that to you. So the way that we have to deal with energy vampires of people is, one, we have to take responsibility. Okay, we have to go, this is a relationship. I've contributed to this in some way, right? So I need to change. I can't change that person. All I can change is myself and how I turn up. The second thing we do is we practice empathy, because we're trying to understand and be curious about what's going on for that person, because we know it's not about us, right? So we can put that aside and actually help and see if we can change that dynamic, right? This is not about necessarily practicing empathy to the nth degree, though, because at some point, if things don't change, you've either got to practice one of the other strategies, either bookend or at least in your head, try to decrease the importance of that relationship. All right, so I promise you that if you use this tool for 10 minutes a week to plan your week ahead, it will change everything. The first way that you might do it is to actually retrospectively look back over the last couple of weeks and just plot everything and then see if you'd made different decisions. All right, get into that one. Promise you it'll make a difference. All right, the next thing I want to do is back to productivity is to come back to our chronotypes, right? What we know from our chronotype is depending on what chronotype you are, there's certain times a day that you want to be doing different tasks, right? Tasks can be distributed into either analytical tasks, which is more of our convergent thinking process, or insight tasks, which are more of our divergent thinking processes, right? So if you're a morning person, this is when you want to be doing those different types of activities. This is how you want to schedule them. If you're a person that goes to bed like me about midnight, then this is the way you want to be thinking about managing your diary. And if you're really a night person, it's this. So you might want to take a screen grab of that right now, right? But your chronotype has a big influence on your productivity. All righty, so how do we put this all together, right? So if you want to be known as a person who gets stuff done, this is what we're going to do, right? Before you check your emails, create a little plan for yourself. Of course, create an environment that makes you feel well, right? Because that's going to have a big contribution to that as well. Then put your tasks for the day through the Energy Diary tool, right? What do I need to book in? What am I going to lose, right? What can I just save as a back pocket if I need it, right? But I want to make sure that I really create space for the stuff that is energizing and important. Then shuffle those tasks based on your chronotype, right? So if the deep work you want to do is creative, make sure you're doing it at the right time of day. Then you want to apply your Pomodoro technique to tasks, right? So this is 25 minutes on a task and then a 5-minute break. Guess what? We're practicing Pomodoro today. That's why we did our little 80s inspired workout 25 minutes into our little session with you today, right? It's a simple way to break it up, light up your brain again, and get back in and focus. The thing with Pomodoro is you want to do that for a maximum of 4 times and then take a longer break. And really, really importantly, to make sure you really get the work done, is let others know what you're focused on so they sort of hold you accountable and so you're not interrupted, right? Be known for this. Be the person who's known for always delivering. All right, the other thing that we have is bookends. I'm a big fan of, right? So bookends, I talked about this in terms of managing energy vampires, right? So it's before and after. The biggest bookend that you have the most control over is how you start your day and end your day, which is why we've given you a morning routine and also focused on sleep, right? So start there and then work your way inwards. But every single thing that you have in your diary has the potential to have a bookend, right? So think about how you start it and finish it in a way that's overall energizing. Right, so this is the big question for all of us, right? Are we an energy vampire? So if you were depleted, so if you're a person who on average only feels you have enough energy 47% of the time, like most women, you're going to be an energy vampire to the people that you care about the most. We're always giving our energy, right? Often giving our worst energy to the people that we care about the most. So here's where I want to talk about responsibility, right? Because what I believe is that in every single moment, we have a choice, right? Think about that dopamine. What can we control? In every single moment, we have a choice. You can either choose to be an energy vampire, and that's to yourself first. Energy vampire decisions are things like not sleeping well, not nourishing myself, not moving, right? Not connecting. All of these things are energy vampire decisions that you make. Letting your inner critic beat you up, that's a decision that you make. Right, so ask yourself in every moment, am I being an energy vampire or am I being an energist? Right, an energist is a person that expands their own energy in order to expand the energy of other people. And this is exactly what we're teaching you to do today, is to be that energist. Be the person that when they leave the room, people feel better, feel more energized. You can do that for yourself and for others. This is not about being selfish. Right, it's literally one of the most selfless things you can do is to look after yourself so that you're better placed to help others. All right, so what have we learned for around productivity rituals? Nail your morning rhythm. Combine your energy diary, chronotype, and Pomodoro, and don't be an energy vampire. All right, so we got one more thing that we want to cover. So how do we be the best at what we do? All right, that's what we said. Get our dopamine going again by focusing on what we are. So quick question into the chat box. What does my t-shirt say in English? Let's see what we come up with. See if anybody speaks Spanish on this call. What?
I'm just waiting to see the chat room, my friend. I'm just, I don't even know what it means. This is the first time you've worn that shirt for me. Oh, Zrinka says the future is female.
Zorinka, you are awesome. Right.
The future is female. The future is female. The future is women. Okay.
Okay. A lot of that coming through. Yes. Right. So this is where I want to talk about being the best at what we are. What are the skills that we require for the future? Well, there's skills that are traditionally have been thought to be more feminine, right? So we asked you to do another piece of pre-work, which is to look at your superpowers, a positive psychology tool. So I want to show you how to be more creative when we know this, right? So downloading your report, the first thing I want you to think about is doing a self-appreciation. So if this was my report, I would say, I am creative, I'm forgiving, I persevere, I'm curious, and I'm loving and lovable, right? So I'm owning that, I'm taking that as a part of my identity because that's a way of me showing up. Those are skills, right? They're my superpowers that help me get things done. The second thing we can do with this is use that assessment to actually get to know your teammates and appreciate the diversity that you have in your team. You can also forward that link to your loved ones and then have a chat about it too. Get to know each other a bit better. Right, so those superpowers are what make you, you. There's also ones which are linked to your creativity. So the things here is what we know from the positive psychology research is there's 5 strengths that are linked to creativity. They're curiosity, bravery, perspective, enthusiasm, and critical thinking. So how do we build these? Now, quick poll for you. Last poll I think we're going to do today is what percentage more likely are you to succeed if you ask someone to hold you accountable? Right? What percentage more likely? Just pop your answer into the poll right now. What percentage more likely to succeed if you ask someone to hold you accountable to doing what you said you're going to do?
Mate, we're trending between number 4 and number 5 here. So 75% and 95%. It's pretty 50-50 at the moment. So
right.
More people are leaning now towards 95%.
We've got lots of smart people on this call. I've seen it throughout the session, right? So you're 95% more likely to hold yourself, to actually succeed if you get someone to hold you accountable, right? So here's a way to get someone to hold you accountable to be more creative. Right, and it's simply just by having a creative strengths conversation. So at the start of your day, you might think, knowing I can only take responsibility for the 3 things, how might I be curious today, be brave, seek some perspectives, be enthusiastic and get myself in a good mood, right? And then use everything that I've learned and use my critical judgment and thinking to come up with a point of view, a solution to a problem, a belief. Right, so we could do that every day. It doesn't have to be about work either. It could be being brave about something like getting your phone out of your bedroom. Might be the thing that you're doing. Right, there's a simple way to look after each other, but also build our creative skills at the time. Right, and the reason we know that is that the number 1 skill that's going to be most in demand for the future of jobs is related to creativity and problem solving. Right, your ability to see different things and how they can be achieved. Right, because remember, no one ever got hired by saying they were going to start a job and do everything the same way it's ever been done. Right, so we've got to do that. So this is a great conversation that you might have at the start and end of your day, and it only takes a couple of minutes. All right, so what have we learned? We've learned that staying creative while working from home or anywhere really is about knowing your superpowers first and then having those creative conversations daily. All right, so that's the content for today, but we really want to focus on you for a second right now and what the opportunity is right now. Right? We really believe that now is your leadership moment. If you're a member of Great Place to Work, you're already a leader, right? You're already thinking about how your environment, your employee experience helps people be the best version of themselves. So now's your leadership moment. And why is it, right? Because we think about a crisis would be a terrible thing to waste. If everything went back to the way it was, that would be a huge tragedy, right? So what do we mean by this in terms of now being your leadership moment? Well, what we see is there's a once-in-a-career opportunity right now. And that opportunity is that we could all come out of this better than we went in. Surely that is going to be a huge symbol of what it means to be a great place to work, that your people come out of this better than they went in. Right? Such an amazing thing to actually aim for. So here's a question I want to pose to you. How might we do something for our people, right? This is what I'm going to ask you. So what's the word there? How might we re-onboard our people, right? Think about this. Once in a career opportunity, you will never again have the opportunity to make sure that every single person in your organization is re-onboarded consistently in a way that means they've got great, new, healthy habits that mean that they're more mentally well, that mean that they're more productive, that mean that they're more creative, that mean that they're more inclusive, right? We've got this one unique moment. Now, Luke and I have been working on a blueprint for helping our clients to actually get there. So if you'd like a copy of that blueprint, just type yes right now into the chat, right? And we'll get that to you. But this is a leadership moment for any of us that are working in the HR employee experience profession, that we can re-onboard our people to be better than they were when they left. We know we had multiple crises before this crisis. We had a crisis of burnout, crisis of mental health, crisis of disengagement. We can come out of this better, right? And we hope that you're up for that. So just type yes right now and we'll get you a copy of that. All right, that's my little rally cry. I really believe we can do this.
Plenty of yeses, Sean, plenty of yeses.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so as you said, this is just the beginning. As part of helping with that process, you're invited to our next little event. So happy to have the support of Zrinka and Great Place to Work to do this. We're going to talk about finding your X factor, so X employee experience. We're going to show you how to take a data-led approach to employee experience design. It's perfectly built for the fourth industrial revolution, and it's designed for leaders who really want to leave their people better than they found them, right? If that's you, then do not miss this, right? And invite any other leader that you've got who you think feels the same way, right? If you think about the great leaders that we've all experienced, they're the ones that leave us better than they found us, right? And that's what we're really excited to bring to you on July the 8th.
Mate, and just let you know, I'll put that into the offers section. So if people click on that now, it'll open up in the new browser and you can just register straight away. We've got a great attendance for that one as well. So we're already looking forward to it.
Fantastic, Cookie. So last thing I want to leave you on is one of my favorite hacks, right, for dealing with overwhelm, right, for lifting our spirits, right? And you'll see at the start of this, we went back and we thought about what we're grateful for at the moment. Now, the reason that gratitude is so powerful is we know that from a neuroscience point of view, our brains literally can't be thinking negative and positive at the same time. But our brains are also hardwired for the negative. They're like magnets for the negative, and they're like Teflon for the positive. So we need to practice these things, right? So whenever we're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, sad, depressed, gratitude is a way to hack that feeling, right, and shift it. What we also know from all the positive psychology research is that gratitude is the #1 skill and practice behavior, personality trait that's most highly correlated to overall well-being and energy and happiness, right? So I want you to think about right now. So if you're standing, stand and anchor yourself, right? If you're sitting, sit purposefully, right? Push your back, lift your chest, pull your shoulders back and down, tuck your chin in, push your feet into the floor, right? Now I want you just to take a deep breath in and just think about that thing that you're grateful for, the thing that you wrote into the chat earlier today. And as you think about that thing, just notice where you feel that in your body. Right? Is it in your heart space, a little lower, maybe in your tummy? Just notice, or is it all over your body when you feel of that? Because you're thinking about the last time they gave you a hug. Right? Notice that feeling of gratitude. It's got energy to it. It's got movement to it. It's got warmth to it. That feeling of gratitude in your body right now is a little shimmy. That's the way that we like to think about it. So I want you to take that feeling of gratitude and bring it into your shoulders and make it really big. So crazy right now. All right, so the shimmy is the way that we like to think about gratitude at Energx. So write down those things that make you shimmy. Put the plan for shimmies into your diary. Everything that's in that increase box is going to make you shimmy, I guarantee it. Thank you so much for having us. Let's recap a little just on what we did, right? So today we covered how to reduce your overwhelm and increase your energy by focusing on your sleep and doing the energy assessment to know where you're at versus where you want to be. We taught you some productivity rituals to light up your brain by focusing on routines, right? And we told you how to stay creative while you're working from anywhere. So now it's over to you. This is the start. If you've got any questions, you can contact either Cookie or myself at these details here. And now I'm going to hand it over quickly. We've got a couple of minutes left for questions.
Mate, I accidentally booted out a few people because the link supposedly for the next session just kicked a couple of people out. Oops. You're going to love this. But we'll send the link around afterwards anyway, so no stress. Vanessa will be sending around all the links, energy assessment links, and also a replay to this session. So everything will be sent probably about an hour after this webinar, and you'll get that in your inbox very soon. We did have a question from Philip, Sean. Any tips on maintaining concentration and improving memory?
Yeah, so first of all, so sleep science says the number one thing that stops us actually even creating new memories is sleep deprivation, right? It's extraordinary how much of our brains are impacted by that, right? So there's a number of different little hacks. So one of the things to remembering things is we know all the 80% of the nerve endings attached to our memory are actually in our hands. And so writing versus typing is another big thing. Those productivity rituals that we taught you today are all designed to help you actually continue that focus. And then even the little hacks that we had in there, you know, so like the square breathing, doing a little bit of 80s aerobics, whatever version that is for you, using that little trick about noticing something new in the room. They're all ways to actually do this. But what I want to say is, remember, it's all about practice.
Yeah.
Right? We've got to know where we're at right now. We've got to practice these skills so that when we really need them, they're already there in our toolkit, right? Versus trying to do them in the moment.
Totally. Mate, we've had a quick question from Jack. Any advice for stressing about getting enough sleep and expending energy on this?
Yeah, so this is where your nighttime routine is really, really important, right? The way I like to think about it is your night determines your day, right? So think about, do the chronotype assessment. Actually, if you do the free energy assessment, there's actually a whole blog just on sleep, so definitely check that out. But do the chronotype assessment so you know when you're going to bed, then focus on that last hour. What are you doing in that last hour before bed that prepares you to be really relaxed, right? So that as soon as you walk into your bedroom, it's lights out, right? But really,
what do you have music going? Like, what do you burn candles? Like, what's your little trick?
So I think I like to think of this almost like creating like a spa routine. Like if you go to a spa, you know, you choose things off the menu. So it's a bit of an experimentation. So you could do like music, right? Classical music. You can do like yoga. You might have a warm bath. You could turn down the lights. You know, you could do some light breathing. It's really about combining a few things that work for you and experimenting with those.
So good. Now, just to let everyone know, that wall behind Sean is actually his bedroom. He turns this into a studio, and at night time he's got those glowing stars that come out. Just
the stars. But I do like to sleep with my head in the clouds.
Oh, there we go. Mate, that is it for today. I want to thank you, Sean, firstly, for a great session in getting people motivated with You've Got This. Thank you once again, mate, and we're looking forward to the second session, the X Factor. Bring it on. So links will be sent around with that, and I know a great place to work will also share that as well. Zrinka, I just want to thank you and the team, a great place to work, for having us today. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thanks to everyone who joined the session today. Don't forget to join the next session as well. And enjoy your week,
people.
You know, be your best.
Thank you everyone for joining us. That is it for today. Say thank you on the chat room. And if there is one thing that you learned today, please do share it across your social channels and LinkedIn. Tag We Are Energx, tag at FUNLOCKA as well. We'd love to see all the comments flowing through. That is it for today. Thank you, Zrinka, once again, and we'll see you all soon. See you later, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.